Welcome to the Front End Nerdery podcast, a podcast about front end web design and development. Do they even say web design anymore? That just came out of nowhere.
I don't know. I would possibly. Yeah, what is it? Product design now? But I mean, yeah.
Product design, yeah.
I mean, if you're working on a product, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we say web design still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I haven't seen it used as a title for like a job, like web designer,
no. Or
UI design.
webmaster.
Oh my gosh, yeah, there's a blast from the past. I actually had that. I had that title professionally. Had that title. Folks paid me to have that title.
Yep. That's when you used to snap those little yeah. See, words today are just escaping me.
This is going to be an interesting talk.
Badges that said your site was accessible that they want to bring back.
Yo, I really hope that never happens. I really do.
That's for yeah. That's for another podcast because that's that's a different soapbox. But yeah, I'm Todd Libby, and with me, my co-host, Homer Gaines. Homer.
What's good, everybody? Happy Friday! Happy Friday!
Yeah, happy Friday. So today is, I guess, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be you kind of interviewing me a little bit, but we're going to talk about my work in the W3C and deceptive patterns and the FAST framework.
Yep.
So I'm going to hand it over to you while I, get ready for all these hard-hitting questions.
Actually, they're not going to be hard-hitting questions, really. Okay. What I really want to do is I would love for you to highlight what your talk is about. Mm-hmm. Just for those who aren't able to get to any of the conferences that you're speaking at, so that, they can at least gain the insight that you are presenting to others. So initially, I'd like to know why did this even become a thing with you? Because I know your whole role in accessibility and in the accessibility community and all, but this one is still somewhat a fresh talk that a lot of people do not have on their radars. So I'd like for you to expound on this topic, talk about how you came up with it or why you came up with it, why you feel it's important to discuss. And then if you can, just go over some high level details of it, since, we're not doing a full hour on this one. You can just give us the gist. So first one, what made you want to start speaking about this at conferences?
The work that I've done, the work that I'm doing, I think made for a talk that maybe the community, the dev community, would want to possibly have. So what I did was I put this talk together about the stuff that I've been doing. And I thought it's important because not just to me, but to inclusivity and accessibility, since we're both in that space. And not because, it just, I didn't chat GPT it. I didn't, I from the time that I was like, okay, we're doing this work, I thought it would make a really engaging, not only an engaging talk, but an engaging conversation. And so far, like the conversation part, didn't that just go well on social media? But I won't go into that.
Oh no, we might have to, because I mean, you
we
just
we
can't
might.
drop that and be like, "Oh yeah, that went well," mad
Yeah,
sarcastically. So we may
exactly.
have to discuss that aspect of it. But all right, so you're talking about deceptive patterns in the FAST
Yes.
framework. So
Yeah.
how do you define deceptive patterns? Because I know what one of the people are probably more familiar with anti-pattern or dark pattern. So, how did you come up with deceptive patterns, or why did you choose deceptive patterns as opposed to those other two labels?
I don't like the I don't like the term dark pattern simply because it just doesn't it doesn't describe what these patterns are. And not
Okay.
only that, they're in uh, contrary to popular belief, I think, and this is just one man's opinion, I think we've gotten to the point where we have been ridding the tech landscape of problematic terms. Master slave, for
Mm-hmm.
instance.
Yeah.
Dark patterns, although of a lesser degree, I think is a problematic term.
Okay.
And that's part of why I don't use it. The other part being, I don't think it fits. I don't think it fits at all. I think deceptive is more attuned to what um, is going on with these patterns. I think also at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, anti pattern is as well. So, to get to the question, what's the difference between the two? A deceptive pattern, to me, is a deliberate attempt with intent to deceive a user into doing something they don't want to do on the web. An
Okay.
anti pattern is a pattern that is harmful or bad. It's bad UX. It's bad, whatever. But there's no intent. It's not deliberate. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's a big difference. And I just not too long ago was like, okay, because I wasn't discussing the anti pattern, I was like, there is a difference. So that's why I added it into my talk, because there is a difference. One's with intent, one's without intent. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
And so, just like with legal matters, how some instances you have to prove intent. How do you prove intent with a deceptive pattern or an anti-pattern?
There are classifications that we have. And um, I think, let's see, there are barriers and different types of patterns that are with intent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a clear line with some of these that, oh, yes, that's with intent.
Can you give an example?
So, trick questions, that can be one.
Like double negatives?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the one example I give is there is a form, and it says, I
I was
would
just
like to
about to say
receive
that.
I would like to receive relevant information from this company. And there's two radio buttons, yes or no. And one's checked no. The question underneath that, I would like to receive additional information too. No, that one's checked. And then underneath that, contact preferences. Would you like to receive information from company X about upcoming events, exhibitions, and news? No. And I, those aren't really trick questions, but there's confusion. There is a pattern
No, I get
there.
it.
There's a pattern there of deceit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
I get it. I get it. If you ask me once and I gave you an answer once, don't ask me two other
yeah.
times the same way, expecting my answer to be
Mhm.
different. If I don't want any information from you, I don't want any information from you.
Yeah. I'll give you a better one. Copy and paste when that's disabled.
That's an anti-pattern for sure. And also a pain in the neck from an accessibility standpoint
Yes.
when you disable it. Yeah.
Or well, that's actually not a better one. What?
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Would form input fields that don't allow foreign characters be considered an anti-pattern?
Yes. Because somebody should be able to input their name the way that it is spelled and not have an error message come up saying, no, that's not, well, paraphrasing, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
That's
Yeah, I had a friend,
definite. That's a
or the
definite
one that
anti-pattern.
one that I came across. A friend of mine, her first name has two letters,
Mm-hmm.
and she was trying to sign up for a service, and the input would not allow her to put her first name because it said it had to be more than two letters, which I thought was trash.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
another example I give in my talk is our friend Gina Ann.
yeah.
She
Shout out
had
Gina.
she
Clarity Conf.
had yep, Clarity Conf, great conference. She had an example that I had to take, and it was from Post, that app, Post.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh.
So it's basically shows the form where you put in the handle that you want,
Mm-hmm.
and it says in parentheses your unique personal identifier. You currently can't change it, so pick a good one. Example: gnome, NOAM. Okay. That's the CEO. I believe that's his name, Gnome. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but apologies if I'm not.
I
So the example has 4 letters. And you know Gina Ann, she is at Gina, Jina, right?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, she might as well just have that joint trademarked.
She
That's her.
goes, yeah, she presses enter. An error comes up. Handle must be between 6 and 15 characters in length and can only contain letters, numbers, and underscores. But their example is 4 letters.
I was just about to say that. Make it make sense.
Is that deceitful? No, but it's a definite
It's
anti-pattern.
misleading.
It is
It's
misleading.
misleading. That's for sure.
Is there
Yeah, it's
intent?
definitely misleading.
Is it, one could say there's no intent. So, I mean,
Right.
what is with and without intent is subjective.
Honestly, you know what though? I think there is a way that you can prove whether something was done with intent. And
Mm-hmm.
this goes back to looking at business requirements. So, for instance, while someone is building out this form and they're working on a validation for it, if it is specifically called out that the form should have, that particular anti-pattern built into it, and that is a part of the requirements, that is intended. So therefore, you have intent because a decision was made to actually limit it based on these parameters versus someone saying, oh, we just have this. And because just a lack of forward thinking or whatnot, they build in that validation. Maybe it was a use case that never got tested
Right.
or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just how it was validated, and that could
Definitely.
fall short.
Yeah.
So I could see intent being proven that way. But then again,
Yeah.
getting someone to actually say, well, show me your documentation so that we can verify how this was. I mean, that could be going back to tickets, but that's also like, are we getting into courts of law to prove this stuff?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's just one way that I could see it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So
So
when you're talking about when you're talking about these deceptive patterns and
mhm.
such, are they only related to, from your research and everything, are they only related to form elements, forms, or is it that we just see them more often in forms while trying to extract data from somebody?
Not just in forms. Uh, I'll give you an example. Paywall on a website.
All
We get
right.
we
How's
get
how's that?
okay. So we get all of the bad news thrown at us. It's constantly shoved in our faces. But
Ah,
anything other than the bad news, we go to click on it, and you're staring in the face of the best example is the Washington Post. When I see a link and I click on it, it goes to the post, and then there's a paywall. It's like, and it could be something, it could be bad, it could be bad news, it could be, not a very good news item, or it could, most of the time though that I've seen through my research,
mm-hmm,
it's been something that, won't make me feel anxious, that won't raise my anxiety or make me, angry to read it, um
mm-hmm.
so we have paywalls. I think that's a definite anti-pattern to me. It, deceitful. We're getting into, is the link deceitful? Nah, that's another debate.
Is it
Uh,
is it deceitful when you click on it and you're able to read, or you start reading and then the paywall pops up in front of you after you have been on the page for, say, 30 seconds or so?
it is. I think
I
that's,
got hit by that today and
yeah,
it was annoying as crap. I
yep,
was reading this article and boom, it's like, you must subscribe. I'm like, really?
yep, yeah. That's a definite, that the way that is implemented is a definite deceptive pattern. Um, Another example is a timer. Okay. You have 12 hours until our sale ends. You better hurry and you better order
Oh well,
something.
those are marketing tactics that play on your psyche. That's what those
Definitely.
are. Building
Definitely.
in that urgency to get you to go click, 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 do it
Definitely.
now. Yeah.
Ticketmaster. You
Mm-hmm.
have you have 10 minutes to finish this order. What if I get sidetracked like I have before and I have to come back and I got to do that process all over again? But the seats that I had are gone now, so I have to go through and find seats because
Mm-hmm.
now the way I'm thinking on these is okay, especially with the timer. What about if somebody has a cognitive issue?
Mm-hmm.
What if even maybe somebody has, an issue learning or reading issue? That creates a huge barrier for people like that.
Yeah.
So, not
Also raises the
necessarily.
anxiety too.
Mhm, definitely.
A lot of people
So,
don't do well when there's, timed actions and so forth.
right.
Wait, there's a rule in the WCAG against timing, or saying that you should at least state an amount of time that a task, for like a session, for instance, a session is going to be open, but you also are supposed to give the person ample time to either cancel that session or extend it after a while.
Yeah,
So I know that, but I
that's
don't know if that really applies to this.
well, I'm looking at that now. Success criterion 2.2.1 timing adjustable.
Yeah, timing adjustment. Yeah.
So for each time limit that is set by the content, at least one of the following is true. You have turn off. The user can turn off the time limit. Adjust. The user is allowed to adjust the time. before encountering it over a wide range that is at least 10 times the length of the default setting. Extending,
Mhm.
then you have real-time exception, you have essential exception, and you have a 20-hour exception. It's a very, I don't know what it's not as much, I guess you could say nuanced, or you could, it's a very involved success criterion. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely something that accessibility wise, you could definitely say, oh, that doesn't meet timing adjustable because of, whatever issue there is. So
So, playing devil's advocate, we know that I don't know why we're picking on Ticketmaster right now. Cause it's your fault. You brought them up.
because
Anyway,
you suck.
glad they're not a sponsor. Anyway,
We
he's
don't
like,
have any. We don't have any.
it's okay. Yeah. So, devil's advocate here. We know that if you were standing in a queue waiting to purchase tickets,
Mhm,
physically
mhm.
standing waiting to purchase tickets, if you just happen to be the unlucky person that is number, you know, 501 and there are only 500 tickets that you didn't know about, person in front of you gets the last ticket. It's basically first come, first serve basis.
Yep.
Could this timer or the way that they handle timing online be considered a method of doing first come, first serve in a digital medium?
I would
Not
first,
saying that it's still not, it doesn't
right.
have its accessibility issues, but could this be a possible way to actually do that first come, first serve?
I would first ask myself, did I see anything that mentioned there are a limited amount of tickets and there was a limited time to get those tickets? If not,
Okay.
then I definitely am saying that's a deceptive pattern. Can
I
it
can see
can it
that.
can it be an anti-pattern? Sure it can. Okay. And from the point of view where, I go in and I'm looking around for seats and I got that timer ticking down. Sure, I don't want to be rushed. I want to find a good seat for the concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
That part could be, I would say, an anti-pattern. But if seats are getting snatched up and I'm like trying to look around and then all of a sudden timer runs out and it's sold out, that's kind of, and then you go back and read, oh, there was only 500 tickets, limited time, 12-hour sale. Yeah, that's definitely a deceptive pattern. I haven't seen that though. So more often than not, it's an anti-pattern that I've seen.
Okay. I'm just curious. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'd like to challenge it because I could see somebody coming up and actually doing that exact same
Mhm.
thing to argue the point itself. Um,
Yeah.
so deceptive patterns, dark patterns, anti patterns. So let's touch on dark patterns again.
Mhm.
Um, because what we're coming up on time. We got a half hour
Yep.
to bang this out. So I want to get into the controversial side of it.
Yep.
Uh, so let's talk about that.
Mhm.
What type of negative feedback have you received for trying to shine some light on deceptive patterns?
I tweeted out, I think it was New Year, January 1st, as a matter of fact, when I think it was, where I was like, it's
No,
2023
way
now.
to start the year off.
I know it's, leave it up to me. um, it might,
Let's start the year off with an argument.
yeah. I mean, it's Twitter. Why not? Um, it, it, it might have been a few days after, but anyways, I tweeted out, it's 2023. Why don't we stop calling it dark patterns and start calling it deceptive patterns? Because, or anti patterns, because dark patterns just makes it feel all Halloweeny You know, it makes it feel Halloweenish.
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 Okay.
I'm sticking with it.
All
um,
right. All right. We keeping Halloweenish.
so
But wait, somebody had beef with that?
well, I didn't mention Halloweenish, but yes, somebody had beef with it. And here's why. They misread one, which seems like it's a common theme on Twitter, people misreading other people's
Oh
tweets.
yeah. You
Um,
misread stuff all the time.
I said there are racial connotations behind the term dark patterns.
See, you
they,
use that trick. You use that trigger word.
yes, racial. Yes, I'll stop right there before I say something that gets me canceled.
All
But
right, so the trigger word triggered somebody.
yes, and then that brought a mountain of people jumping on that bandwagon. I said they can be there can be racial connotation behind the term dark patterns, and there is research to show that there is. Okay. Black, dark,
Mm-hmm.
evil, disgrace, vile, immoral, white, light, purity, good, innocence, cleanliness,
Mm-hmm.
take all that. People wanted to, well, it's all about light and how light from the sun or light from an, how is a, a pattern online digitally, what does it have to do with light from that big fireball in the sky? Nothing. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
nothing. That's just avoiding that word, racial.
Mm-hmm.
There's the connotation. There's also the inclusion. Why are we using an exclusionary term? Harry Brignall, who coined the term dark patterns, him and I have been talking.
Mm-hmm.
And he switched from dark patterns to deceptive design, which I like deceptive design as well, because
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah, I like
everything's
that
got a
too.
design, everything's got a design phase to it too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about, the deceit, the deliberate attempt, or the, you know, the there's no attempt to deliberately harm a user, but it happens,
Mm-hmm.
without intent. It's the pattern where somebody is forced down a path to trap their attention. And this is what that's about. It's not about dark or light, black or white. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about that deliberate push down that path to get people to do something, whether it's from the marketing aspect or whether it's, whatever. There's a goal these companies want us as people on the other side of the glass to do, and that is to sign up for their newsletter. Sign up for their newsletter to get 30% off your first order. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if I don't want to? What if you slap that modal in my face when I land on your website? I'm leaving. I am gone. That's a deceptive pattern. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there's no room for dark pattern. That is a archaic and monolithic term. You and I both know, and maybe there's listeners
Mm-hmm.
out there that will agree. people that work in tech and on the web, we don't like change. And as human beings, we don't like change at all.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm fine with that term, dark patterns. Well, okay, you're living in 1990 or the year 2000 maybe, you know. It's 2023, you know. Let's have a more inclusive term. Deceptive design, deceptive patterns, anti-patterns, something other than dark patterns. It's not because of a freaking light and the light source of something. That has nothing.
Mhm.
If we're going to get into that, then we might as well we might as well go to MIT and have brunch and talk about light and light waves and all this stuff and become scientists, which has zero to do with anything. And now that I've gone off road, that's my point. That was so off road when it's not racist. I never said it was racist. I said there was racial connotations. There is a difference. Now, whether that is
Yeah, yes, there is a difference. I mean, remember the I hope I don't. I'm remembering these lyrics. Remember the rap group back in the '90s, Third Base.
mm-hmm,
MC Search had a line, paraphrasing it, where he said something like, "Bad guys wear black." Must have been a white guy that started all that.
mm-hmm,
And the lines before, where he was talking about different things that were black and how black was seen as bad. And like you said earlier, black meaning absence of light. We already know sphere, the whole nine. Void of color, dark. So I get how dark comes in, or and how that is being used. And yeah, to some, it could have, it could be charged. It could be a charged term. I will admit, when I built my first computer back in mid '90s, and when I was purchasing the hard drives, and I was going to install my hard drives, and that was back in the day where we had those little jumper switches that we had to put on the hard drive to denote which one was, the first one versus the second one. And yes, I was taken aback when I noticed that those jumpers were labeled master and slave. I
yeah,
was just like, wow. I was like, that's jacked up. Hmm. All
mm-hmm,
right. And then I paid it no mind. I was just like, all right, whatever. It's not like me realizing that at that moment was going to change the industry. It was, all right, that's what it is. Then for years, what we started, we've been, especially since we have repos, master branch, the master branch, even in architecture, you know, I point that way because the main bedroom is that way, but master bedroom,
mm-hmm,
there are other industries that are actually leaning in to not using these terms that have these racial connotations. Some of them, the history of them is racist. Master
mm-hmm.
bedroom, we already know that why that is considered that. So now it is called the primary, we're going there. GitHub changed or gave you the ability to change main to whatever you need it to be. So there are other industries. We'll just stick with GitHub. GitHub is a tech. It is tech. We have the ability to make those changes. They are leaning into it. They've leaned into it as a service. So what makes it so difficult for others just to be able to, one, have the empathy to understand that this could rub folks the wrong way? And if we have the ability to change it for the better for someone other than myself, I'm speaking as if I'm not me, change
Mm-hmm.
to make it better for someone other than myself, why not do that?
Yeah,
And I mean, me being, a behavioralist, I have my own theories of why we run into that. It's unfortunate that, you know, you run into the negativity as such just from trying to point something out and get us to think about the terminology that we are collectively using as an industry to better ourselves.
Yep.
You know, at the same time, it's just,
Yeah.
I think people like to be divisive for the sake of being divisive.
Yeah. And
You know,
if you remember when GitHub made the move from master to main, some people lost their damn minds about it.
you know what? Honestly, I do remember when that happened, and I muted a lot of those folks,
Yeah.
or I blocked a lot of those folks because of like, this is, first off, y'all got mad beef with this term that we already know has a has some racial energy behind it. So it's like, why are you even embracing it that way?
Yeah.
And I just didn't want the noise. So yeah, I do remember that.
People
I
lost their
remember
minds over
knocking
that.
a lot of
And
people out of that.
yeah, and people people have lost their minds over. I had to mute that conversation. I
I'll
had to
believe
mute
it.
that conversation because
I
I,
believe it.
you know, the end goal, okay, for the fast framework is, well, first of all, basically what the framework is, it advises creators of technical specs on how to ensure their technology meets the needs of people with disabilities. That's a main goal with this. One of the main goals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The
Mm-hmm.
other, since I brought in, or I suggested the mental health piece, is to do no harm on the web, right? So one of the goals that I have in this is, I asked a lot of people on Twitter, give me an example of a deceptive pattern or an anti-pattern that you come across and why this harms you. And I had a lot of responses and a lot of great examples which we are using in our documentation. Things, again, fast, framework, it's to reduce harm to the people who are affected by these things. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, you mentioned anxiety, and that's one of the things. We want people to be able to use something on the web without physical harm or risk to not only them, to not only other, people, but to themselves as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
going down, not trying not to go down in an entirely different rabbit hole, but misinformation, disinformation, that's causing harm. That's a big, why do I mention that?
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Twitter, two of the big players in the game. What did they do? They let that run rampant for years. And now we are where we are because of that harm those two platforms inflicted onto people. It's driven friendships apart, families apart, caused a whole deal of harm.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get those companies to buy into this? No, they're solely there to make money. They're to make Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk a boat ton of money. And yeah, I know Elon. All right, Elon. I can't. The Emerald Baby. You know. So that's an entirely different show.
Holy smokes. All right.
um and there are ethical web principles. There are two in particular. It's the W3C tag ethical web principles document, and then the ethical principles for web machine learning. I don't remember if they have groups. I'm pretty sure they're just documents, but there's there's this thing called ethics.
Oh
And
yeah.
when I got
Oh yeah.
Joe developer going, That's not racist.
Yeah.
Well, of course not. You don't think it is because insert whatever reason they have there.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
So,
I get that. I had that conversation with somebody, I want to say it a couple of weeks ago, where I was like, so just because you don't think a term is doesn't mean that it isn't.
yes.
Just because, said term does not affect you in a negative way or has any effect on you as a person or how society views you does not mean that it is not a negative term
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that was about as effective as me explaining it to a brick. But hey,
Yeah.
we'll let that ride out. Yeah, and yeah, because yeah, that kid was just ignorant. He was just some days I have time to deal with trolls and other days I don't. And he
Mm-hmm.
was a troll in real life. And it was the better thing to do with that was just to be like, you know what, let me go ahead and exit this conversation because
Yeah.
clearly you're just here for the drama and I got better things to do than speak to someone who
Yeah.
is letting it go through one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
I already know what time it is with you. So
Yeah. And I know, we've known each other how long now? A couple of years.
yeah.
I think I can safely assume, and even though sometimes I shouldn't, I do, that you have an aversion to emotional vampires like I do. I don't want to, like, when that conversation happened where it's not racist. Well, here's the links to those research papers that
Mm-hmm.
are, university level, not just what something Todd wrote,
Yeah.
right?
Go educate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want any part of that conversation because it's just so draining when you
Yeah.
meet up with an emotional vampire to where they just drain the energy, they suck the life force out of you. i
Mm-hmm.
don't i don't want any part of it
And
anymore.
it comes in many varieties.
Yeah.
Like I had a guy come up to me after I gave one of my accessibility talks, and he was very adamant in explaining how he felt that only meeting level A for the WCAG was efficient. And I just gave him the look. I don't have a poker face. So he saw the screw face immediately. And
Yep.
he is like trying to convince me that he is doing the right thing. But I know that by him trying to convince me, he's actually trying to validate where he was coming from and his justification, his intent to only
Yeah.
support level A, trying to get me to buy in or validate and affirm that he was correct in what he was doing. And I chose not to. And I pieced out of that conversation as well. But yeah, that one was mad annoying. Now there were a couple other people who were around me who had a more visceral response to homeboy. I was like, you know what? Obviously, you were in my talk. You chose not to listen and lean into it. So,
Yep. And
that's
Homer, if I've learned anything from this year so far of 2023, it is this: the Irish goodbye is the most underused goodbye there is out there. And I intend on using it a lot if I'm
all right.
on Twitter.
Nice.
So
Nice.
now, before we go, I do want to mention this:
Nah.
that FAST, the Framework for Accessible Specification of Technologies, and the link to the document, the editor's draft, will be in the show notes. This is a potential source of guidelines. This doesn't replace WCAG. So there's even though I think I've done a good job explaining this so far at the talks that I've given on this, I just
Mhm.
want, when people listen to this to know this isn't replacing WCAG. This isn't going to be you know, an alternative. This is a potential source to implement along with or alongside the WCAG guidelines that we
Mhm.
follow. And of course, you know, WCAG guidelines are a baseline. There's other things that we need to take into consideration too, that you and I both know, you know, performance, internationalization, localization, all that stuff,
Right.
usability, UX.
Okay.
Um, so a potential source of guidelines, I think the biggest part for me, anyways, is that mental health piece, because
Mhm.
I know I can do all the research and all the work into this, and it may get published, and it may get published in WCAG 3 or whatever. But even if one person is helped with, with things on the internet, and it reduces the harm that some of these patterns are causing,
Mhm.
I will have done my job. I will have feel complete, you know. And I mean, that's why I'm in accessibility. That's one of the things why I'm in accessibility, to help other people. Now,
Likewise. Yeah. No, I understand
whether they want it or not,
that.
I mean, lately people don't want help, and that's fine. I get it. If that's how you feel, that's fine. I have
Just because you don't want help doesn't mean someone else doesn't need it.
correct
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
that,
I get it.
but where we were talking earlier on the phone, it's that family piece. It's that I have people that I need to be the voice for, because
Mhm.
they don't have that voice. And I mention this sometimes in talks, and when I do like podcasts and streams and such. I'm not doing this for me. I'm not trying to be some sort of savior. I have a long interest in accessibility. It's over 20 years now. Um, I'm
Man,
not do I'm
it has
not
been
doing
20
this.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Yeah,
long
because
in
I
the tooth.
started it. Because I started what, towards the end of 2001, going into 2002.
Yep. I
What
started
did it say? 2002. Yeah. Wow.
99 for me, right around 99. But
Yeah.
um, I do this for family and friends, the close circle of people,
Right.
for me. And if it helps others, great. If it helps somebody that doesn't want it, even better. But if it, raises the ire of people who don't want help and view me as just some able-bodied person who's sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong, that's your, you know, if that's what you think, that's none of my business. It's just
Yeah.
like, what people think of me is none of my business. That goes with, those people.
Yeah.
I mentioned on Twitter that part of the accessibility community is very toxic. And boy, didn't I get unfollowed, but that's okay. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. I'm not saying I'm right, but boy, is there a lot of vitriol going on lately. And it's sad to see, because for the most part, and this, the accessibility community is very open, very welcoming, and a lot of brilliant people.
Hmm.
A lot. Why this is going on? It's anybody's guess.
Who knows? Again, divisiveness.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
Stress, people being tired. Who knows? Anti patterns.
we're still in a pandemic, whether people want to believe it or not.
So thanks for telling me all about that.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So where's the next time you're speaking? When are you actually, yeah, when's your next talk?
So my next talk is in Orlando, Florida at Orlando Code Camp. You'll be there.
I will
Our
see you
friend,
there.
yes, our friend Demars will be there, Chris Demars.
Oh, we gonna cause problems.
Yeah. And I still can't get over the fact that it's during spring break, but you know.
Yeah, it's that season down there, but hey, it is what it is. All I'm
Yeah.
interested in is we got to find some dope pizza in Old Town. So
Yes, definitely. Um, so there's that. After that, so I had a little mix up, and let me just pull this up real quick here.
I thought you were about to say you didn't hit record.
No, I did. Yeah, it's still recording. Um don't make me look don't make me look again. Um so when I sent my CFP in for DevNexus,
Mm-hmm.
um I I thought I was doing a workshop. I thought they had accepted my accessibility workshop, but it was a workshop. And Pratik, our friend Pratik, said, "Oh no,
Critique.
you're only doing an hour." And I'm like, "Okay, well that's not an hour because I can't fit a lot of content into 1 hour with that." So I am doing the deceptive patterns talk at DevNexus on, I'm going through the schedule right now. I think it was Thursday, April 5th at 10 a.m.
All right.
Um,
Wait, April 5th?
yes. So DevNexus is the 4th through the 6th.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
Okay.
I'm on the 5th. Um, it's a lot of good speakers there, you know, a lot of people we know. Um, so those are the two so far. I haven't have had any word about any other conferences. I will be doing a Twitter space with our friend Demars on the 7th. So that's coming up in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just, I wrote it down. I'm at that age where I got to write things down. March 7th, yes. On Twitter space. And then in May, I believe it is, I'll be doing a stream with Nick Taylor on his I Am Developer stream on Twitch. And that's pretty much it. Um, I do have a lot of CFPs just floating around out there for conferences, and hopefully, you know, I'll be able to. Last year was a very busy year for me traveling, and I'm glad I was able to. I'm grateful I was able to. Hopefully this year will be a little less of traveling, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So you'll be in Orlando,
Yeah, I'll
and
be down
then
there. And I have a bunch of CFPs that are still in the review process as well. So
mhm,
I will
and then
probably see you at some of these other events.
hopefully we can get. Oh, Dev Nexus, dude, remember that place I told you about with the tacos in Atlanta?
Yeah.
We need to go there. I don't.
So we're doing that and Blue India.
Oh, Blue India, definitely.
Okay.
Speaking of which, Blue India, if you're ever here in Phoenix, okay, and you need to come out, the place that I took Demars to over in Glendale.
Mm-hmm. I remember you talking about this. I need to partake of this to see.
Neck and neck.
Blue India sets a high bar.
They do set a high bar. That was the originator of the 1,000 yard stare.
Yeah,
This
you was way off in the middle distance with that one.
Oh, I literally time traveled. I looked at the clock. It said 5:30. you guys got up and were leaving, and I got up and it was 8 o'clock or something like that. I'm like, I just traveled in time.
Yeah, that food was amazing.
It was amazing. But yes, yeah, Blue India, that it's hard to beat, but I think this place is a tie. I
All
really,
right.
really do.
All
So
right.
um and then you have ViewConf.
Yeah, I got ViewConf coming up. It's going to be in New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah, when is that one? ViewConf is New Orleans, May. Then I got Render here in ATL. And I'm still waiting to hear about KCDC and the others throughout the rest of the year. So yeah.
So KCDC, where we have a CFP.
Yeah, we're doing a session,
both.
right? Yeah. We're
A
going to do a
workshop.
session. Yeah, the workshop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
I'm down with that.
and then I put in, I don't know about you, but I put in for a few or a couple other talks. One being the deceptive patterns talk as well. So,
Okay.
And then did you put any for any talks during KCDC?
Yeah, some accessibility talks. You know, I've got like 4 to choose from, 4 or 5 to choose from. So I like to submit all of them and then let the organizer choose which one they want.
Yeah.
One that they feel that the attendees would, you know, benefit from. Not saying that they wouldn't benefit from everyone, but just to change it up a bit. They want different opinions, different ideas, things like that. So yeah. Well, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So we are at time, homeboy.
Yeah. I think we might have gone over, didn't we?
Yeah, just a little. It's all good. So thanks for that conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully it picks up a little bit of steam. Maybe, people will look at it and say, you know what, time for change. I hope. If not, it was worth the attempt, even if it's one person. So, but
yeah,
no, thank you. It was great to talk to you, and I know we've been talking for a little bit of the day, but definitely always a pleasure.
Indeed.
From this side. And what we got coming up on 3 weeks until we're hanging out. So find some, like you said, find some good food and
yes, sir.
Chill. Keep me out of trouble.
I will try.
Well, I'm not putting the onus on you. The onus is on me. And as tempting as things are, sometimes I have to remember that I'm too old for this.
I'll just wife you on you because she'll be down there with us. So
yeah. Exactly. I can't wait to see you. And I saw Damar's not too long ago, and he made fun of me. I don't have it with me. So he was making fun of me because Hardington and I had been talking about coffee milk, and my beautiful other half, she got me a sippy cup because Damar's on one of our drives was saying that I should be drinking it in a sippy cup. So I have a sippy cup now. It's blue, but it has lobster stickers on it. So I filled it up. Actually, I do have a picture. I filled it up with coffee milk the other day. So that's for you, Demars. And the Red Wings still suck.
Oh wow. Okay. And on that note, so you You can't be coming for Detroit, B. Come on now.
Hey, now, mad props and respect for the pizza.
You cannot be coming for the D like that. No. We will have no such talk on the podcast like that.
Right. I will refrain from the violence today.
Bro, just calling out Detroit like that. No.
Now, if I had Detroit pizza, New York, Chicago, anything else, that's how I rank it. Detroit, I haven't had Detroit pizza in quite some time, so I'm overdue. So, and DeMars knows I'm going to visit and bring my sippy cup.
All right. Well, on that note, it's great rapping with you, bro.
Yeah, likewise.
See everybody later.
Yeah, thanks for tuning into the Front End Nerdery podcast. We will be back at some other time. I don't
with
know
more
when.
shenanigans.
More shenanigans. Maybe a guest or two, and then maybe another one of these little rap sessions between you and I about stuff, and mixing it up this year. Needed to do something different, so it's like I said, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, and we will do this again soon. So until then, subscribe on the YouTube channel, leave a rating on podcast platforms, and we need some sponsors. I don't want to have to go out there with a twirly sign.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Or beg. I don't want to beg either.
No. Don't do that. You're gonna pull the muscle.
But I do actually, real quick, and I know we keep doing this. We definitely have to get James and Amy on, because that's long overdue.
Yep, we got to do that, and we got to have she and I have to geek out about audio equipment. Yeah.
So
we're definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, I'll get, if you want to get in touch with him, or I want to get, I'll do it. I don't mind. But anyways, again, subscribe, tell your friends about it, tweet about it, toot about it. I just can't, I don't know, toot. So
toot is Mastodon for anybody that doesn't know.
Yeah, and toot, tweet, shout it out from the mountaintops.
There you go.
But until next time, everybody, we'll see you. Take care.
Peace.